Fear doesn't break a city all at once. It seeps in, quietly, through whispers, through doubt, through cracks no one wants to admit are there. And when someone steps forward to take control, they don't get to be wrong. This is Chapter 3 of Blackfeather. The city square was packed shoulder to shoulder, a sea of anxious faces flickering in torchlight. Merchants, dockhands, sweepers, beggars, all pressed together beneath the pale moon. Along the edges, a line of guards stood stiff and unsure, halberds catching dull glints of firelight. At the top of the council steps stood Gideon Vaylan. Even in the suffocating unease, he was steady, authority cutting through fog. His golden hair caught the firelight. His navy coat, trimmed with silver, marked him a Vaylan. Tonight, the legacy sat heavier than usual.
"People of Veyrith,"
Gideon called, voice clear and even.
"I know you're afraid. There are whispers of disappearances in the lower wards, of symbols carved into doors, of blood in the streets."
A ripple moved through the crowd.
"These are not idle rumors,"
he went on, jaw set.
"There is a cult at work here, one that thrives on fear and chaos. I will not allow them to break what we've built."
A woman near the front shouted.
"Where were the guards when my son went missing?"
Anger rose like a tide. Gideon lifted a hand. His expression stayed calm. His tone gained an iron edge.
"The guard is mobilizing. We're hunting those responsible, and we will bring them to justice."
From a rooftop shrouded in fog, Quincy watched. Gray eyes unreadable. Gideon's words were smooth, practiced, a man who needed belief as much as order. But Quincy saw the small things, the crease at Gideon's brow, the hand gripping the rail a fraction too tight, the way his gaze kept tracking the crowd like it might fracture. The crowd felt it too, if not consciously, then in their nerves. Their murmur braided hope and doubt, faith and resentment. A crow landed near Quincy, talons clicking softly on tile. It cawed once, almost accusing, then cocked its head as if listening to something Quincy couldn't hear. Quincy's mouth tightened.
"Crow-eyed priest. I'm close." "Saw,"
he breathed. Shadow loosened around him. Fog swallowed the outline of his body. A heartbeat later, he was gone, leaving only a scatter of drifting feather shapes that looked like soot in moonlight. As the crowd dispersed, Marla slipped to Gideon's side like smoke finding a seam.
"You did well,"
she said.
"Mostly."
"I don't need your approval, Marla."
"No,
She agreed lightly.
but you do need my information, and my network just delivered something interesting."
Gideon kept his composure by habit.
"Go on."
Their leader, the one they call the Crow-Eyed Priest, is holed up in the old clock tower on the edge of the lower ward.
"You're certain?"
Certain enough that if you don't act tonight, you may not get another chance.
He did the math instantly. A proper mobilization would take hours. Hours they didn't have.
"Ready the men,"
he told his captain.
"I want a team at the tower before dawn."
Marla's smile turned sly.
Oh, Gideon. Always so procedural.
His eyes narrowed.
"What does that mean?"
It means while you're polishing halberds and drawing maps,
She said sweetly.
someone else is already moving.
He didn't like that. He didn't have time to.
"Move!
He snapped to his men.
Now!"
The old tower smelled of ash and rust. Moonlight leaked through jagged holes in the roof, striping the chamber below like broken prison bars. The place hunched like a dying beast, walls blackened and strangled with vine. High in the rafters, Quincy crouched. The beam creaked but held. Below, 6 cultists circled a cracked altar, spaced like points on a wheel. Their tattered robes dragged through blood-slick stone. Their chant rasped like rusted metal. Rhythmic. Wrong. The taste of iron and rot coated Quincy's tongue. At the center stood his target, the crow-eyed priest, tall and gaunt, scalp gleaming with sweat. Spiraling black tattoos crawled down his skull and throat like shackles, seeming to shift when Quincy tried to follow them. His eyes, his eyes, shimmered oily green, reflecting torchlight like carrion glass. Even from above, Quincy felt the wrongness radiating from him. Power, hunger, dangerous. He'd thought that before. He touched 2 fingers to his bowstring.
Seal.
A black feather sigil bloomed on the far cultist's throat. The lookout. The man clawed silently at the mark, warning trapped behind failing breath. Too late. Quincy loosed. The arrow punched through the eye. The body folded without a sound. The circle didn't break. Quincy moved before the fall could speak, boots kissing beam, cloak slicing air.
Submit.
Darkness blossomed. Torchlight vanished. Moonlight smothered. The chamber collapsed into black. The darkness took their sight, not his. Cultists shrieked, stumbling blind. Steel whispered. A ribcage parted. A body fell. Another arrow found soft flesh. A gasp, cut short. Panic shattered the circle. Then the priest laughed. Cold, jagged, certain. Emerald light detonated inside the void. Tattoos flared like a rising sun. The darkness didn't fade, it fractured. Quincy staggered as his shadowcraft buckled, edges peeling back like torn cloth. The priest advanced, haloed in sick green.
You will drown in your own night.
Fire surged. Quincy dove behind a broken pillar. Heat licked his forearm. Skin blistered. Too strong, not head-on. The priest's voice climbed.
You are mine.
Quincy's fingers closed on the feather charm at his throat. Not power, position. Saw. Shadow snapped loose. He dissolved into motion and reformed high on a crossbeam, lungs burning. The priest twisted, shaping another spell. Too slow.
Seal.
The sigil flared at the priest's throat, not choking, not silencing, but tethering breath to Quincy's intent for a single beat. The priest's eyes widened. Quincy loosed. The arrow struck where the mark demanded. The emerald glow flickered.
Saw.
Quincy reappeared behind him, rapier already moving. The blade slid between ribs, clean and final.
You were never the hunter,
Quincy murmured. The priest collapsed. Silence returned in slow waves. The green glow died. Tattoos dulled to ink. The remaining cultists lay scattered, undone by speed they never understood. Quincy stood over the body, chest heaving. Not fear. Cost. Too close. A whisper slid through his mind. And yet you triumphed. He didn't answer. He drew an obsidian feather, his mark, his message.
Witness this light end,
he murmured. He did not press it to the priest. Not here. Not with that emerald residue clinging to the air. He tucked it away instead.
Saw.
Feathers, mist, gone. Boots echoed up the stairwell minutes later. Gideon entered with 2 guards, ash-smudged and tight-jawed.
By the gods!
One breathed. Gideon said nothing. His gaze moved across scorched stone and broken bodies, stopping at the priest. Heart split clean.
No battle this precise happens by accident,
Gideon said quietly.
Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing.
Something near the corpse caught moonlight. A feather, impossibly black, drinking light. Gideon picked it up. Warm. Wrong.
Sir,
A guard whispered.
is that the black feather?
The name already carried weight. Gideon slid it into his coat.
Spread the word. The priest is dead, but his flock isn't. We stay sharp.
A nervous laugh followed. At least we didn't fight him. Whoever this black feather is, he did the hard work.
Gideon didn't smile. He glanced once at the rafters, then the fog drifting through the broken roof. Anyone who could do this alone was not an ally. As he turned to leave, his fingers brushed the feather through his coat. The city had gained a protector, or something far more dangerous than it realized. The priest is dead. The danger isn't. And the city has no idea what it's just invited in. That was Chapter 3. Chapter 4 is where the cost begins. If you don't want to wait, the full story is already out.